injury updates from practice, and Jeff Van Gundy is a national treasure that must be protected at all costs. Welcome into Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. Let's play the intro.
Here we go, Clips fans.
Clippers Talk with Adam Osland. After every game, download every pod. Clippers Talk's the name. He's a basketball talking golden god.
New episodes after every game on demand.
Follow Clippers Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Clippers.
Good to be with you guys. Wasn't planning on doing a show today, but when Jeff Van Gundy speaks, I got to hear from him. And so do you. He's too good. This audio is too good. Good to see you guys in here. Mio, Divine, Alex already. Good to be with you on a Saturday. Clippers taking on the Pelicans tomorrow at Intuit Dome. Tip off at 6, 9 Eastern. Who cares about that? We're West Coast bias here. Tip off at 6. Your pregame show right here starting at 5. So here's the update. Kawhi Leonard missed practice today due to an illness. He's questionable for tomorrow's game. Darius Garland practiced fully, but is still out tomorrow. He's going to continue his 5-on-5 work. John Collins practiced today and is questionable for tomorrow. Ty Lue also missed practice today for personal reasons. So Kawhi, John Collins questionable. Darius Garland still out for tomorrow's game, but according to La Murray of The Athletic, we could be seeing Darius Garland playing his first game as a Clipper on Monday, which is very, very exciting. I'm excited. They're taking on the Golden State Warriors, I believe, on Monday, who the Lakers got later tonight. Not that we care. I'm just saying Darius Garland could make his debut on Monday. Good to be with you guys. Welcome in. A lot of people in here. Abdu Cuevas. Chuck's birthday today? Okay. We'll celebrate that instead of Luka Doncic's birthday. Oh, yeah. Chuck had, I think there's some mascot fun happening tomorrow, pregame to celebrate outside. Quentin Cornett is in here. Alberto feeling positive. The team making me feel like we can win it next year. Let's go Clips. All right. So Jeff Van Gundy audio just surfaced. And you know what I always say. Hashtag JVG for MVP. I've been saying it since training camp last season. What a pickup. What an asset he's been for this Clippers team, having Jeff Van Gundy in-house. With his basketball acumen, him being the consummate pro, darkroom guy, film guy, grinding, the defensive coordinator for this team. The stories about Van Gundy are legendary already with the Clippers. But today, because Coach Lue was out for personal reasons at practice, it was Jeff Van Gundy's opportunity to speak with the media. Let's hear from JVG. This comes courtesy of La Murray, our friend here of The Athletic. And let's go through some of the audio. I've heard some of it already, but you guys, come on now. We got to check this out together.
I'm shocked that you actually getting on with us.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
You shot too?
Yes. I think I've gone successfully 2 years.
Well, let's break the fast.
Wait, did I just see, what was that, Diet Coke? Does Jeff VG also drink Diet Coke?
You shot too?
Yes. I think I've gone successfully 2 years.
Oh, he's hiding the label like it's a 90s sitcom, but they didn't want to give out free advertising, although Seinfeld would show it.
Well, let's break the fast.
Yeah, it's okay.
Because you're here, let's start defensively. What were you guys able to focus on this week with a few extra days of off time, kind of like you had during that in-season tournament?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to not beat yourself. And so teams beat themselves usually by their transition defense, reckless.
Get the F back. Jeff Van Gundy, of course, at the forefront of that t-shirt that came out during training camp this season. It's all about transition defense. But a look into the mind of your defensive coordinator and Jeff Van Gundy going on here.
Fouling, usually by their transition defense, reckless fouling, leaving the wrong guys open behind the three, coverage mistakes. So, it's the focus is always, I would add defensive rebounding too. The focus is always in those 4 areas. The game's changed a lot, but what wins and loses is exactly the same as it's ever been and will always be.
Just because we
Ooh, I like that. Old school meets new school.
have you today, can you give us a little update on how your relationship with Ty has continued to develop? The players talk about the two of you having completely sort of complementary skills, and it seems like from their perspective, the partnership is working really well. How is it going?
Lauren Rosen asking the appropriate question, of course, our courtside reporter, about his relationship with Coach Lou. I know there's a lot of background noise here at practice, but I think it comes through, especially the part that I want to hear, I want you guys to hear most, comes through loud and clear from Jeff Van Gundy.
From your perspective.
Well, I had the good fortune of coaching Ty, and he's one of the most beloved people, both as a player and as a coach, that you could ever come across. If you don't like Ty, you're the asshole.
Let's hear it again.
If you don't like Ty, you're the asshole.
We got this segment on the FNA podcast, now the FNA radio show. We haven't been able to play it since, called Who's the Asshole? Am I the asshole here? Who's the asshole? If you don't like Ty, you're the a-hole.
Both as a player and as a coach that you could ever come across. If you don't like Ty, you're the asshole.
This is what I'm talking about. This is the content we have needed. This is a special red letter day here, getting to speak with Jeff Van Gundy for 10 minutes at practice. What a line.
If you don't like Ty, you're the asshole.
Some of you are going to interpret that as a shot at CP3. I don't know. There was the report out there that he was changing coverages and he wasn't getting along with the coaching staff. CP3 is a self-proclaimed a-hole. He wears it like a badge of honor, and it worked out pretty well for his career. But it was just a bad mix this season.
Ty, ever come across. If you don't like Ty, you're the asshole. I aspire to, in my later years, to be more like him, and I've learned a lot from him. He's not only a brilliant coach, but the thing I think he gets that eludes others is that he wants happiness and success for everybody. And I believe that is the key to life. He exemplifies it every day with every player and every staff member. And so I've learned a lot from him, and basketball-wise and life-wise. And, I was fortunate to coach him, and now I'm fortunate to work for him.
Ty has talked a lot about having Chris and DJ in the starting lineup, really helping out Kawhi, where he doesn't always have to take on that top defensive assignment. Obviously, Darius will presumably slide into one of those spots here soon. How do you see that impacting Kawhi's role defensively?
Great question from Joey Lynn, who will be joining us pregame tomorrow at Into It, Clippers and Pelicans.
Well,
how do you see that impacting Kawhi with right now they have Dunn and DJ in the starting lineup defensively?
When you have a home run hitter like Kawhi, you don't want to take the bat out of his hands ever. So he may not guard the best, or the most dangerous player from the start, but for us to be what we hope and what we aspire to be defensively, he's got to want to guard that guy, and he's going to have to guard that guy on certain occasions. we switch a lot. So, you're going to just invariably, have guys in transition and off switches that present it. But, he's every bit as capable as he's always been defensively. There's nothing that Kawhi is incapable of. And so
that was quite the statement there. Listen to this one more time.
He's every bit as capable as he's always been defensively. There's nothing that Kawhi is incapable of. And so it would be a poor choice by us as a coaching staff if we didn't keep the bat in his hand. That doesn't mean every possession, every game, but certainly, you have to utilize that or you're diminishing your chances.
Remember, Kawhi, before the season started, during the preseason, it was an interview at Intuit Dome. He actually said, I can still slide with the best of them. Even with all the injuries out there, he felt like he's still at the top of his game defensively, and you just heard it there from Jeff Van Gundy. Now, on the season, if you look at the stat leaders in the NBA, well, guess who is one of the top guys when it comes to steals per game? He's not number one anymore. That would be Tyrese Maxey at 2.1 steals per game, but Kawhi is tied with Cason Wallace at 2.02 flat steals per game. He's still elite defensively. But yeah, because so much is asked of him offensively, you don't necessarily want him on the other team's best player at all times. But Jeff Van Gundy also wisely points out, you don't want to take the bat out of his hands because he is still your best defender. And so certain times of the ball game, situationally, we've seen Kawhi take up that challenge. I love hearing that.
From what you said,
no, I don't know medically.
Is he looking good?
The interesting part about the NBA today is you're diminishing your chances.
I didn't hear the question here.
Is Darius ready to go?
Is Darius ready to go?
From what you said,
no, I don't know medically.
Is he looking good?
The interesting part about the NBA today is you rarely practice 5-on-5. So I don't, like it's just different. It's just different. It's a different thing. They play in these games called Stay Ready. That used to be called practice. So.
Jeff Van Gundy bringing the old school. Look at this look on his face. I don't know if he approves of everything in the modern game going on right now. Janice Carr there with the question. That's pretty good. So maybe it's tough to evaluate if a guy's ready because typically they aren't playing 5-on-5 very often. But again, the update on Darius Garland is that he's practiced fully, but he is out tomorrow. He's going to continue his 5-on-5 work. And then Law Murray has the report that it looks like he's on track to play Monday against the Golden State Warriors. That's a possibility for Darius Garland here. But I'm assuming it's still, how does he feel when he recovers after today's practice? Obviously, he's got to wake up feeling good with that left toe that he had surgery on for turf toe last offseason.
Is it weird to get used to how much practice has changed over the years?
Yes, it is.
How have you felt yourself adapting and adjusting to that?
Poorly.
Jeff Van Gundy's he's like the Larry David of the NBA or something. With these looks, the response, the comedic timing here.
Is it weird to get used to how much practice has changed over the years?
Yes, it is.
How have you felt yourself adapting and adjusting to that?
Poorly.
How have you adjusted to today's NBA and the changes? Poorly.
Felt yourself adapting and adjusting to that?
Poorly. Poorly. But that's where I learned from Ty. Ty, everybody thinks he's chill, which he's got, I would call it poised. He's got great.
This is an important distinction here. A lot of you guys say, oh, Coach Lou, He's not as passionate. He's not laying into the guys. He's nonchalant out there. That means he doesn't care. Did it look like he didn't care the other night when he swore post game saying that doesn't look like a fucking team that's trying to lose? Or when he went after the Lakers for foul baiting? I think Coach Lewis got some fire to him when he needs it. And JVG here making the distinction of, listen to this one
That's
time.
where I learned from Ty. Ty, everybody thinks he's chill, which he's got, I would call it poised,
There's a difference between chill and poised. He's got a calm, cool demeanor, like, I don't know, the coach that he grew up under, Phil Jackson.
Everybody thinks he's chill, which he's got, I would call it poised, He's got great poise. He doesn't get concerned about stuff that he has little control over. And so I think we'd all love to practice more for many various reasons. Those things don't happen as often as they used to.
Teams are so concerned about guys getting hurt and banged up or having any injury that could keep them out of a game. They don't practice as much as they used to. Not 5-on-5 live reps out there. That's my understanding of it. And I get it. These guys are worth so much money. You want them out there on the court. And with how sensitive the league is, and because of the new science and the medical knowledge that we've gained in modern medicine, we know so much more about the human body. It changes protocols. So a lack of practice is being had in the NBA nowadays.
Those things don't happen as often as they used to.
So you had Vince Zubac, who was an all-defensive center for a year and a half. And we heard from Ty a lot about changing the offense because of James not being here and new guys coming in. What's it been like to work more with Brook Lopez as a starter and to also have the hand in developing Yannick Niederhauser as this team's center of the future on that end of the floor in particular?
Well, first to Zoo, I thought Zoo had a phenomenal year last year at both ends of the floor. He was a huge part of our success, at both ends. And I think this year, particularly early in the year, we were all sort of up and down defensively.
That's what I said. The team was so out of sorts. I think it took Zoo out of his game and his rhythm. There were so many moving parts and issues going on. It was hard to evaluate guys.
In the year, we were all sort of up and down defensively. But man, the one thing that people didn't talk enough about is just how smart Zoo was. And I presumably still is. That probably hasn't left him in the last month. But
we'll find out next week.
Yeah, but very, very smart.
I'm telling you, this is the Larry David of the NBA right here.
That probably hasn't left him in the last month. But
we'll find out next week.
It's just how smart Zoo was. And I presumably still is. That probably hasn't left him in the last month. But
we'll find out next week.
Yeah, but very, very smart. Like, could adapt quickly to changing game situations. Brilliant with coverages. And a great communicator. And the good part is, Brook has many of those same traits. He doesn't run as well as Zoo, like up and down, but he has a lot better feet than people understand laterally. You watch how much he's out pressuring the ball and up on pick and rolls. To see him exert that much energy is exceptional. And he's a great communicator as well. So when we had both those guys, it was great. Now Yannick is learning and growing. He too is a pretty good communicator for a young big. He has to trust his feet that he's good up higher in the pick and roll coverage. His nature is to want to give ground and cede ground sometimes a little too much.
Wow, this is just a wealth of knowledge and information we're getting here from Jeff Van Gundy, talking about the front line, Zubac, what he did, Brook Lopez, what he's doing, and where Yannick is struggling right now. He's got to trust his feet a little bit more. on the perimeter when you're up to touch there or trapping on the pick and rolls?
Talked about the defense at the beginning of the season kind of being up and down. Since, let's clarify, mostly down. Mostly down.
This is so good. What a gem. Listen to this question again from Justin Russo and the answer here from JVG.
Sometimes a little too much.
You talked about the defense at the beginning of the season kind of being up and down. Since, let's clarify, mostly down.
You talked about the defense at the beginning of the season being up and down. Let's clarify, mostly down.
In seed ground, sometimes a little too much.
You talked about the defense at the beginning of the season kind of being up and down. Since, let's clarify, mostly down. Mostly down. Since, but
this is the Larry David of the NBA. I'm telling you. What a beaut.
Since December 20th, you guys, I believe, are now 10th or 11th in defense. What has been the biggest adjustment? Like, are guys communicating more? Are guys just more comfortable in what they're being asked?
We're faster now.
That helps.
Yeah, no, a lot. Like, you can, sometimes you can make up a lot of different reasons, but we're a lot faster. And, DJ's injury and the quickness and the, how it came about, like 2 times, like that hurt. Obviously, he's been outstanding for us. And
maybe he was holding back there going any further, talking about the Boston Celtics injuring him twice the same way. Wise of him. Jeff Van Gundy's been fine before. Let me tell you, go look up the 2005 Houston Rockets Dallas Mavericks first round series.
How it came about, like 2 times, like that hurt. Obviously, he's been outstanding for us. And so I would say that. I think Chris Dunn playing more in extended minutes is always going to help your tenacity and your anticipation. And let's be honest, we're not as good defensively in preventing makes, so we have to force turnovers. And on those games that we can force enough turnovers, that helps us offensively. And Chris is usually the head of the snake when it comes to forcing turnovers.
What's it like?
Awesome insight here from Jeff Van Gundy, your defensive coordinator, assistant coach with the Clippers.
Usually the head of the snake when it comes to forcing turnovers.
What's it like to be the defensive coordinator of a team in a unofficial role? But we know this is basketball, and we know coaches contribute more than exclusively one side of the ball or the other side of the ball. Like, what's that role been like for you to know that you had the role that you do defensively, but you're contributing more than that?
Well, I think that's another big change, coming back to it, law, and is that the whole coordinator thing. It used to be we had so few, we didn't have many coaches, so we had 4 coaches, and everybody did everything. So it's just a big difference, and I try to help where I can. I think when you're old, like me, like you've seen a lot of change, but you also recognize that so many things stay the same. What wins and what loses, as I pointed out before, what a winning player looks like, what a losing player looks like, and so you try to help guys, not necessarily with an offensive skill, because we have tons of guys, but how to handle a bad stretch, or the thing that drives me crazy is that these guys, and I don't know if it's social media or not, but they don't give themselves grace for misses. Averages are.
Ooh, this is really interesting here.
These guys, and I don't know if it's social media or not, but they don't give themselves grace for misses. Averages are average for a reason. When you make 38 out of 100 threes, you're a very good three-point shooter. It also means you're going to miss 62 times out of 100. And the overreaction to the misses, I think it hurts players. And so things like that, try and not propping them up, but just telling them averages are that. You're going to have good stretches, bad stretches, and hopefully try to help them be more even-keeled through the tough stretches.
This is pure speculation here. I wish somebody followed up asking him about Benedict Mathurin, because that to me is what we saw last time out from the Clippers in that loss the other night, where obviously they're down Kawhi, they don't have John Collins, they don't have Darius Garland, and taking on a good Timberwolves team. The offensive focal point was Benedict Mathurin, and after the first quarter, he missed 8 straight shots, and he looked down on himself, like he was beating himself up. I wonder if that's what he's referring to a little bit. And those two, he and Jeff Van Gundy and Benedict Mathurin, they were communicating a lot. I saw them talking to each other. I kind of wish somebody asked about his relationship and what he's trying to get out of Benedict defensively and what he's seen from him so far. But I wonder if him talking about guys don't give themselves grace for misses. They're too hard on themselves. They're their own worst critics. And he wonders if that's a product of social media and just how much you're under the microscope nowadays. Really, really interesting, fascinating answer there from Jeff Van Gundy, and just overall in this interview that was about 10 minutes long. He's out.
Thank you, Jeff.
I need to hear it one more time. I need to hear it one more time.
Beloved people, both as a player and as a coach, that you could ever come across. If you don't like Ty, you're the asshole. So
from now on, that may be how I respond to the chat post game when you're crucifying Coach Lou. I may have to put it just like Jeff Van Gundy did.
That you could ever come across. If you don't like Ty, you're the asshole. So.
What a character. Unbelievable. I had to give you guys that audio. I had to listen to it all. I hadn't heard it. I heard some excerpts and a couple of clips that came out, but that was Jeff Van Gundy earlier today at practice as the Clippers get ready for the New Orleans Pelicans. Dun, dun, dun. A team that has had their number forever, and they're also coming in having won 3 in a row. And I'll say it one more time. Kawhi, questionable illness. John Collins, questionable, coming back off the laceration and neck soreness. And still without Darius Garland for tomorrow's game. But La Murray of The Athletic reported earlier, and I'll try to get the exact wording here because I know Law does not like being misquoted or people taking things out of context, rightfully so. But he said, preparing for Darius Garland to debut possibly as soon as Monday at Golden State. The reason we can't know that yet definitively is because Darius Garland just practiced. And now he's going to wake up tomorrow. How does the toe feel? So when everybody's asking these questions, is this guy playing that? Well, they don't know yet because they have to see how their body reacts. So you have to be a little bit patient here. And I know people go after the injury report and all that stuff, and every fan base says the same thing about their PR team and the injury report, and they're not transparent enough. Every fan base gets into this. And I know it can be a little bit frustrating with some of the vagueness sometimes, but it's because even the player does not know. How are they going to feel tomorrow after going through 5-on-5? But hopefully Garland back on Monday. This Pelicans team is 18-42, but they have won 5 of their last 7 here. And we know the history against the Clippers. They have had their number forever. And they're coming off a 129-118 victory in Utah against a team that the NBA had to send out their own medical team to check on the validity of the MRI from Markkanen. That's wild to me. But in that game, their starting lineup was Sadiq Bey, who dropped 42 to be exact, against Utah the other night. So hopefully he got that out of his system. DeJounte Murray's back. DeAndre Jordan is their starting center currently. Zion Williamson, Herb Jones, that's a decent starting 5. Derek Queen's coming off the bench. The rookie, Jordan Poole, Jeremiah Fears. With the guys they have available right now, the Pelicans are dangerous. They're always dangerous and a thorn in the Clippers side, but specifically with the way they've been playing and who should be, as I check their medical report just to make sure, the status on a few guys who should be ready to go. Yeah, so Trey Murphy III he was out. And are they playing the Jazz again? Yeah, this is the front end of a back-to-back for them. So the good news is they're in Utah tonight, and the Clippers will have the rest advantage. And it's not just Trey Murphy III who's out tonight, but DeJounte Murray. Does that mean they're going to be ready for the Clippers tomorrow? I don't know. DeJounte Murray just came back, so they're not going to play him both games of a back-to-back right now. And Trey Murphy has a shoulder issue. Oh, yeah, they do play tonight against Utah again. So they're doing a little baseball series against the Jazz currently. They won the first matchup. They're heavy favorites in round 2, but hopefully Kawhi Leonard's back, dealing with an illness. Hopefully John Collins is back. I would definitely expect him to play. Didn't know Kawhi would be dealing with this, but Kawhi hasn't played since the Orlando game, so if he plays tomorrow, he's had a week off. I'm thinking that's probably part of why the Clippers are giving him this rest with this break in the schedule where they played one game over 6 days before they have all these 5 and 7s coming up and 3 and 4 coming up right away, where the Clippers are on the front end of a back-to-back tomorrow against the Pelicans. Then Monday, they're up in San Francisco taking on the Golden State Warriors. And then Wednesday, they're back home against Ivica Zubac and the Indiana Pacers. So this is a really, really pivotal point of the season, obviously, with 18 games in March. Did that just come out of my mouth? Is it really 18? Yeah. I thought Chuck Mockler did a nice preview show of the Ides of March coming for the Clippers right now. Kobe Sanders had some really nice buckets. I think a 3 in that spinning layup he had in the fall away in the fourth quarter in their loss the other night to Minnesota. Now, the good news is if you look at tankathon.com and the strength of schedule remaining, the Clippers do have one of the easiest schedules. They're ranked 27th, toughest schedule. You want to be on the lower side. If you're first, that means you have the toughest schedule in the NBA. If you're 30th, that means you have the easiest. The Clippers are 27th. So they do have a favorable enough schedule. Again, as I've been saying for a while, get in the 7-8 matchup, preferably you're 7th, so you have that playing game at home, win that game, and get in the 2-7. The only problem right now is, well, first of all, San Antonio, obviously not pushovers. They could beat you in 5 games. They're that talented. The only advantage the Clippers would have is really inexperience. But San Antonio could still catch Oklahoma City for the number 1 spot, and then the 2-7 matchup, you're getting OKC. So there aren't many good options, but I don't think the Clippers are going to be able to get into the 6th spot because they're 7 games back of the Lakers currently. Even with the Lakers having a tougher schedule remaining, even with them just losing 3 in a row, I think they're going to win tonight against Golden State, and the next 3 games for them are very winnable. Just 7 games back with 24 games remaining. That's a tough row to hoe to get back into a top 6 seed. It's not saying it's impossible, but it's pretty close, especially when you don't have any more games left against the Lakers. They went 2-2 in the regular season series. So I think ceiling is getting the 7th spot, meaning you're hosting the 7-8 play-in matchup. Winner of that gets the 2 seed in the first round. Loser plays the winner of 9-10, and then winner of that gets the 8 seed. All make sense? All right. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate Jeff Van Gundy. Hashtag JVG for MVP. Beautiful. Just amazing audio. I wasn't doing a show today. I wasn't going to do one just based off the injury report. But once I saw that, I was all in. Oh, Jordan Miller. Speaking at practice, you know what? Maybe I could bring this to you right here. I didn't know which players would be talking with the media. Let's see. Law Murray spoke with Jordan Miller about the lack of threes going on right now with this team. Shoot, we got here. More audio from practice today. Jordan Miller.
I'm sure that's been a conversation about how y'all are got to ask about the threes, not just you specifically, but this entire team. I'm sure that's been a conversation about how y'all are literally in the basement when it comes to volume with that shot. How can that be better? How does Darius improve that? And where do you feel like you in particular can get more of those shots up?
I just think we just gotta hunt them. Obviously, take what the defense gives you. And find ways to just, get downhill, attack, and spray it out. I think Darius coming back is going to add a lot more versatility to our team. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. But I think, again, it just comes down to just hunting them, being aggressive.
Do you, when it comes to hunting them, like the easiest threes to talk about are spot up ones? And then you got guys who they either got their stuff on ball or they don't. Like we saw you work on some on ball threes this year. So what's your comfort level with one, adding more of those, and also like what's the conversation been like with T. Lue to maybe put you in more off-screen actions to get you more of those kind of looks?
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm comfortable taking. I think right now, we got Ben added to the offense, and he's proven that he can score. And obviously, we have Kawhi, who's Kawhi. So I think it's just a matter of, finding out where I can kind of fit my way into there. Because when we had James, it was a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? So just finding ways, trying to sneak in there, be aggressive, play my game, get W's.
Miller's been solid the last couple of games. I think it was against Orlando where did he have 14? If I get a chance tomorrow, pregame, if Coach Lue is available, I might ask him about the 3-point shooting being down and if it's really just about the Clippers not being able to generate as many, because in the chain of events of the drive, kick, swing theory, they're not getting as many drives right now by guys who are capable passers like you would with the traditional point guard, since they haven't had James Harden, obviously, and Darius Garland hasn't played a game for them yet. That's my theory on why they're not generating as many threes. There's not a guy getting into the paint, drawing two to the ball, kicking it out, getting the defense in rotation, and therefore getting more open shots. It looked like the Clippers were 0 of 1 in the first quarter from three, which tied the fewest amount of three-pointers attempted in a first quarter by any team this season against Minnesota the other night. And then they ended up getting up, I think, 11 in the second quarter. They hit the final one right before the half with Bogdan Bogdanovic. So they started 1 for 12 from the outside. And the three-point shooting has just been abysmal. But it's not even just the three-point percentage, it's the lack of attempts, getting under 25 per game, I think, over the last 3 games now. That's remarkably low, shockingly low in today's game, and it's hard to win that way. You just lose the math battle. So if I get a chance pregame, I'll ask Coach Lue, since I've been talking about it enough. Might go straight to the source on that. We got more from Jordan Miller here, courtesy of Law Murray of The Athletic. This is about the Clippers' upcoming schedule here, like we were just talking about.
Specifically, but this entire got to ask about the threes, not just you specifically, but this entire team.
Okay, not the one I was looking for. How about this?
Not just you specifically, but this entire team. I'm sure that's been a conversation about how y'all are.
Okay, I think Law posted the wrong audio clip. But in the quote here, he asked Jordan Miller about the Clippers schedule. Quote, "There's 2 ways you can look at it. You can either be like, we have a lot of games coming up, I'm going to be so tired, or you can be like, let's finish the season out strong and let's see where we can really take it." This stretch in March is likely going to make or break them. In terms of, the good news is they are unlikely to fall out of the play-in because the teams behind them are tanking. They are 5 games up on the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 11th. Clippers are 10th. That's the final play-in spot. They're not falling out of the play-in. Really, the floor is the 10 spot. The ceiling, I think, realistically for them is the 7 spot. But it will make or break them in terms of getting into being one of those teams that has 2 chances to get into a playoff series, because even if you lose the 7-8 play-in, you get one more opportunity against whoever wins in the 9-10 to then win that game to become the 8th seed. It's complicated. You can look it up. So I say that, what happens in March is going to define them, but really there's only so much maneuverability they can have here. There's only so much they can climb up in the Western Conference. I don't want to give anybody false hope and be like, yeah, they could end up the 6th seed, because people want to, believe the Lakers are just going to fall back that much. Back 7 games from the Lakers with 24 games to play. I just don't think that's enough time. And I expect the Lakers to actually win the next 3 games. So it's worth tracking. And if they had a completely, if they had a complete collapse and implosion down the stretch, and the Clippers went on a real hot run where, let's say, they go 11-7 in March, yeah, or 12-6 in March in the 18 games, then you're cooking. But that's going to be difficult with all the back-to-backs, guys in and out. I mean, I don't expect Darius Garland to play in back-to-backs when he first comes back from the toe issue, if he plays on Monday. So it's just too difficult of a schedule. They've put themselves in too tough of a spot, and this is what happens when you start 6-21. These are the consequences, unfortunately. It's going to be really hard to overcome that, to get out of play-in territory. But as I've said before, get in the 2-7 in the first round and take your chances. That's how I look at it. All right. I think we're good here. I don't think there's going to be any more spicy quotes coming out. I don't think Jeff Van Gundy's coming back with the media scrum for round 2. But if you missed it at the beginning of the show, you better listen to all of what Jeff Van Gundy said. That is appointment listening. That is some of the best sound and sound bites we have gotten all season long. If you don't like Ty, you're the a-hole. Mick Jones said the goal is to still finish over 500 and go into the playoffs healthy. Yeah. Well, remember when Coach Lou set the market going 35-20 the rest of the way? They can achieve that. That was to get back to 500. They're definitely ahead of getting back to 500 or the pace-wise, but it's just, how does March go? The Clippers do have, I think, 8 instances of having rest advantage the rest of the way, which is most in the league. And rest advantage means, like in tomorrow's game, they're getting the Pelicans on the second night of a back-to-back while the Clippers didn't play today. 8 instances of that the rest of the way. That's part of why some metrics will tell you the Clippers actually have the easiest schedule left in the game. But Tankathon has them 27th. I don't know if it's with the Clippers' luck they have to get out of the play-in. They put themselves in a position where, to me, it looks like they're going to be in the play-in. The only question is, are they going to be in the 7-8 matchup or the 9-10 matchup? That's it. I'll make sure I didn't miss any more sounds here. Who else speaking with the media? Check out Joey Lynn's reporting. He's still got Jeff Van Gundy up. A lot of our media and reporters and insiders do have footage of Darius Garland today at practice. Might want to check that out, doing the 5-on-5 stay ready games that Jeff Van Gundy is not used to seeing in the NBA, because they don't practice a lot doing 5-on-5 anymore. Stay ready games used to be known as just practice, normal practice. You played a lot of 5-on-5 back in the day. I think I'm so paranoid of missing something. I'm hesitant to stop the show, but I wasn't even planning on starting the show. I gotta go to the gym, and I got some things to do today. Let's see here. Hoop Jabs. Anybody put up any sound or audio? Let me check Sporting Tribune. I'll check Law Murray's YouTube one more time here. It's a huge game tomorrow. I don't want to say it's a must win because again, you're really just playing to stay out of the 9-10 play-in matchup. The only stakes right now are to get into 7-8. But there's a big difference between being 7th or 8th there at the end of the season because if you're the 7th seed, you get that play-in game add into it, Dome. We want that badly. Need that advantage. Yes, Collins is questionable for tomorrow. Kawhi is questionable for tomorrow with an illness, not the ankle. Darius Garland's still out, but could be returning as soon as Monday. People in here saying Lakers in 5, like they'll be out in 5 games like last year. What do you mean? Not too bad, I hope. Oh, we got some haters in here. Lakers fans have infiltrated the chat. I don't know if the Clippers are going to be picking up anybody. There hasn't been any scuttlebutt regarding that. No tea leaves to read. And if Darius Garland is back, oh, we got some more audio. I'm glad I waited. Brook Lopez speaking with the media now. And this also comes courtesy of Law Murray at Law Murray DNU is where you find him. Let's hear from the Brookie Monster, Splash Mountain, Brook Lopez at practice today.
When it comes to your offensive balance, I know we've talked about this before with how important it is that you space the floor, but your viability inside the arc as well. How do you feel like you've come along that now that you've been the starter for a month now?
It's definitely been an adjustment, but we've been figuring out the balance game by game, and the coaching staff and my teammates have done a good job helping me out. We've kind of just been feeling through where we want the spacing for everyone. I'm sure you guys can see, our energy's in the right place. We've been playing great defense, and with the different lineups, new guys, old guys, people out. We've been figuring out the offense as we go along, and everyone's attention's right. We're in the right place. We're doing great things. We keep playing hard. And so it's going to keep happening, but we've absolutely, that's been one of the things we've been figuring out as we progress.
What is it like to be on a team like that where
I like
you have
what
a
he,
training camp and you have a very set way of playing with a certain
I want
group
this
of guys.
effing thing paused.
And then in February, the roster changes to the point where you're still trying to win, but you're trying to install
and everyone's attention's right. We're in the right place. We're doing great things. We keep playing hard. And so it's going to keep happening, but we've absolutely, that's been one of the things we've been figuring out as we progress.
What is it like to be on a team like that where you have a training camp and you have a very set way of playing with a certain group of guys, and then in February, the roster changes to the point where you're still trying to win, but you're trying to install and figure out a new way to play around it.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of different chapters, different looks throughout the season, but the one constant is that I think we've had a team that can win games. We can win games, and we're confident of our chances of getting to the playoffs and making noise in the playoffs. Obviously, as I always say, it's a game-by-game thing, but we got a great group of guys here. Whoever we put on the floor, whether unfortunately some people may not be able to play due to health for a game or two or whatever the situation may be, I think whoever we put on the floor, we have a chance to win that night, and I think that says a lot about our group.
I like what Brooks said here at the beginning here, talking about the effort and the energy being in the right place.
It's definitely been an adjustment, but we've been figuring out the balance game by game, and the coaching staff and my teammates have done a good job helping me out. We've kind of just been feeling through where we want the spacing for everyone. I'm sure you guys can see, our energy's in the right place. We've been playing great defense, and with the different lineups, new guys, old guys, people out. We've been figuring out the offense as we go along, and everyone's attention's right. We're in the right place. We're doing great things. We keep playing hard. And so it's going to keep happening, but
that's what I wanted to stress the other night and tried to, but people weren't hearing it after that loss to Minnesota. People surprised by that loss to Minnesota as if the Clippers came in favorites while they're missing still Darius Garland, Kawhi, and John Collins against a very good Minnesota team that's 15 games above 500. Yes, the game was winnable. They had their chances. They didn't execute late. Am I surprised? No. With how many different lineups they've had out there, with new guys being implemented, it is understandable that that team would have 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter, multiple offensive fouls, the Batum inbounds play, throwing it over the head of Derrick Jones Jr. on a miscommunication play. There's too many moving parts right now. Right? But the effort is there, which is what Brook Lopez was speaking to. The guys are playing hard. The energy's in the right place. I can't fault them when they're going out there and playing that hard, but they just can't execute because guys haven't built up reps next to one another because there's too many different lineups right now. Like I'm fine like with losing games because you miss some plays here and there is one thing. Losing games because you don't bring the requisite required effort, that's where I get upset. And that hasn't been an issue with this team since they started 6-21. So, I get people are disappointed with the losses and losing 3 in a row, and they had gone some time without losing 3 in a row. They were one of 3 teams that since like Christmas hadn't lost 3 games in a row in the NBA. And you had some coin flip games in there against Orlando, against the Lakers. You never want to lose. But I am not going to be overly critical of a team that is exhibiting this high level of effort right now that just can't execute for understandable reasons because guys in and out of the lineup, new players adjusting. That's not the stuff that I usually criticize. And they'll get better as repetitions come, and hopefully they get a string of good health coming up in March. That's probably going to be the key above anything else. If they can just get the same cast out there every night. And then you're getting lineup continuity, and Coach Lou knows where he's going with his rotations. So I'm just a big fan of Brook Lopez, always have been. Enjoy hearing from him there. Very good leader, very good locker room guy, and you're getting the hustle. And he's talked about multiple times his biggest concern is letting his teammates down. I think that's, the right mindset to have, that internal motivation, like motivating factor of I can't let my guys down. And he's just a pro. Even at 37, I think he's been solid for this team this season. It's interesting. I heard Lakers fans are getting on DeAndre Ayton. He made that comment the other night about, I'm not Clint Capella. Well, yeah, you're not. There was the decision to make. They could have had Brook Lopez. I think if they had guaranteed him a starting spot, maybe they could have gotten him instead of him coming in as the backup for Ivica Zubac with the Clippers. And they ended up getting DeAndre Ayton out of it. I think I'd rather have Brook Lopez. While Ayton is the younger, more talented player at this point, does he give the level of effort you're looking for every night? No. His motor is completely inconsistent. And that's the stuff that irritates me. And that's when I find fault with guys. Somebody saying, will Ty Lue keep on continuing starting Miller and Sanders over Mathurin? Miller and Sanders haven't been starting over Mathurin consistently. Mathurin just started last game. I don't know what some people are watching sometimes. Will Ty eventually start Garland, Mathurin, and Kawhi together when they're fully healthy? I think it's very possible, but he definitely wants one of Chris Dunn or Derrick Jones Jr. out there, understandably, for defensive purposes on the perimeter. And I feel a heck of a lot more comfortable when one of those guys and when both of those guys are out there, regardless of their offensive limitations. Ayton worked best with CP3. I guess he worked best when he was going for his second contract. He's a disappointing player, a talented player. He has an opt-in for $8.1 million this year. But after the first month and a half of season, he's had this, huge drop off in play. And I just think it's interesting juxtaposition between a guy like him and Brook Lopez because of what could have happened this past offseason and the way they play out there. And it's never a question of effort with Brook Lopez. He's not the player he was, and he's not even shooting well from the outside compared to his career stats from three. Did he go 2 for 12 the other night? Did he? 2 for 7 from three, 2 for 12 overall. Like, Brook to me has still been solid, even though he's only shooting 34% from three, when the last few years he's been around 37%. Yeah, that's a fair point. Brook Lopez was with the Lakers for a year, but he did love LA, and so I think there was a possibility they could have got him. People want to develop young guys until the young guys struggle. That's basically how it goes. As soon as Kobe Sanders and Jordan Miller started to struggle a little bit, everybody was getting on Coach Lou for playing them. Like, wait, do you want to develop? Because it's not always pretty with young guys and consistency. They have to take their lumps along the way. I've really liked Jordan Miller the last 2 games. He's hit some really tough layups. He had a layup going right that was really tough the other night, which you don't often see. But he's gotten back to his bread and butter, which is driving left, getting into his handle, hitting tough floaters, runners, shots in the lane. In fact, he's 5 of 7 each of the last 2 games. 14 points against Orlando, 10 against Minnesota. He's been more aggressive getting downhill. They need it. They need that. The Clippers definitely don't have enough consistent three-point shooting. I mean, I would say Kawhi Leonard's pretty consistent. High volume at 38%. Chris Dunn is not overrated defensively at all. Tell me you don't know ball without telling me you don't know ball. He's probably going to make an all-defensive team this season, as long as he gets the amount of minutes in. Chris Dunn is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league easily. He started off a little bit slow this season, but after the first month, he has been outstanding. And mind you, he's had to be their point guard since they traded James Harden. So a lot more on his plate offensively, and the defense hasn't at all slipped. He's an elite perimeter defender. He has been for a while. The only issue with him is, what does he provide offensively? And therefore, your minutes get dictated by that. He hasn't been taking three-pointers. I want to say he got one up against Minnesota. He was my player to watch. I thought he was pretty good overall, but he was 0 of 1 from 3. So he took his first 3 after 104 minutes of not taking one against Minnesota. But he still had 11 points out there, was 4 of 9. He had that steal and layup after they got into the kerfluffle with him shoving Jaden McDaniels. Chris Dunn is an absolute dog, and the spirit and heart that he plays with and the intensity that he plays with is a great reminder to everyone out there of how you need to play defense. He's a leader by example there. And I think he's a good communicator too and a vocal leader. Same with DJ. I mean, these guys are special defensively, shut down corners. Are they always shooting over Chris Dunn? Well, he's guarding the other team's superstars and best players consistently more than any other player on the Clippers. If you think those guys are going to be shut down and not hit shots here and there, like if you think great players like Anthony Edwards, because Chris Dunn is on him, is not going to be able to get a shot off or not knock down some tough shots like that 3 he hit over a double team late in the fourth quarter, that means Chris Dunn isn't a good defender. Well, you just don't know ball. I don't know what to tell you. Like, great superstar players on offense are still going to get theirs. The question is, are you going to make them work for it? Chris Dunn makes them work for it. He's more consistently guarding the other team's best player more than any other guy on the Clippers by far. And he does a more than admirable job. You can watch the tape. Should I play? I'll probably get a copyright thing here if I play it. But you can look. Chris Dunn, defensive highlights, and saying that guy is overrated is crazy. You know what? I'm going to play it. I'm going to take the risk here. Even if it gets demonetized, just to show Chris Dunn some love here, because Quentin Cornett has no idea what he's talking about. Here is 10 minutes. 10 minutes of Chris Dunn defense. This is from his first year with the Clippers. Like, you just have no idea what you're talking about with Chris Dunn. As I pulled up the wrong video here, he has defensive mixtapes. He's such a bad defender that he has 10-minute defensive mixtapes.
Dunn pokes a three, retrieves it. The Clippers on a power play. Man, hands, stripped. Dunn recovers and lays it in. Mike Budenholzer trying everything he can.
Look at the way he fights. Look at the way he fights to go over the screen with Devin Booker.
Trying everything he can.
Look at this. Most guys don't do that, generates the steal. I'm confident anybody that doesn't think Chris Dunn is a good enough defender or an overrated defender does not know ball.
Taking himself, lays it in on the run out.
This is a 10-minute mix. Look at the way he comes over here with the help defense. Takes it away from Paul George.
It's a foot race. Plays back to Powell. The same exact number for the Warriors.
Steph Curry. Oh, taps it away. Look at this guy.
Kawhi has shown out so far.
On Steph Curry. Watch him fight through this screen from Draymond Green. Look at this great screen from Draymond Green, maybe a moving screen. Look at the way he fights over the top of that screen. That is, you don't see stuff like that very often. Then he gets back and then gets the steal. That's an unbelievable play.
So far, 6 of 8 from the field. The Clippers have trailed by as many as 12. They've cut the lead to 4. A deflection in it. Warriors are number 1 in the league.
Again. Why do guys get shots off on Chris Dunn? I don't know, because he's guarding the best players in the world consistently. Look at the activity here of how much ground you have to cover versus Steph Curry with his off-ball movement.
Number 1 in the league in charges drawn. Curry, barnstorms the lane.
Oh, Curry tried to beat him on the back cut there, and Chris Dunn takes it away.
Whistle for next time. Doncic the other way. James posting on Dunn. Eubanks flirting with the double team. James goes.
See, this is what is called moving goalpost. Well, show me highlights from our past 2 games from Chris Dunn. Absolute pathetic. You want to talk about moving goalposts? Absolute pathetic. Well, then show me from the past 2 games. I could if I pulled up the full games. I absolutely could. Do I feel like doing that right now? No, because Quentin, I've already proved you wrong by the fact of you having to move the goalpost to, whoa, but what about the last 2 games? Casual stuff. All right. I'm out of here. I've cooked enough. I've shown you that's a 10-minute highlight package that I showed you like 1 minute of right there. Just tell me you don't know ball without telling me you don't know ball if you don't think Chris Dunn is a good defender. He is elite. Absolutely elite. Do we get any more sound here from Law Murray? Nothing else. I'm Adam Moslin. If you missed the Jeff Van Gundy portion of this, go back, rewind to the beginning. Unbelievable. Jeff Van Gundy speaking with media for 10 minutes. If he's speaking pregame, I'll have a chance to ask him a question tomorrow. Clippers, Pelicans, 6 p.m. tip-off at Into a Dome. We'll have your pregame show starting at 5. Love y'all. Even Quentin in the chat. I'm Adam Moslin. Talk to you then.